Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So we're going to have a look at the PC today because it's time for a new build, I think. So this is my current workhorse PC in my home office here, and I built this back in 2018, and I actually had the GPUs in a previous build from 2017, so I transferred them into this machine and then everything else was built as new. So let's take a look at what I've currently got, and then let's take a look at what we're going to build. So I'm planning on doing this perhaps in maybe 3 parts. We'll take a look at the new build components, and then in part 2 we'll actually do the build, and then in part 3 we'll probably do some benchmarking comparisons between the old and the new. So let me get the cover off the old machine and we'll see what we've currently got in the box here. Alright, so here we are. This is the current existing workhorse PC that I have. As I say, I built this back in 2018, and it's a full single loop custom water loop cooling solution, and it's built inside the NZXT H700 case. And the motherboard in this unit is a ROG Strix RTX4090 OC gaming motherboard. And when I first built it, I put in 32 gigabytes of crucial ballistics memory, and I found that when I was doing huge data sets that I was topping out the memory and we're ending up having to do paging to disk, which obviously slows down performance. So I added another 32 gigabytes of RAM into it, and that's Corsair Vengeance memory. So there is a mix of memory speeds in here, so they'll downgrade to the slowest speed obviously, and that is DDR4 266 for the original, and the new ones were DDR4 3200 if I remember rightly. Then all the water cooling solution is EK, so I've got a 360mm rad at the top and a 360mm rad on the right. The one on the right is actually a wide unit, so I think it's 45mm deep, which gives us more volume in the system to soak up the heat. And then I've got the standard reservoir and water block, and pump combination. And in the graphics side of things, I've got 2 GTX 1080 Ti Founders Edition, NVIDIA Founders Edition graphics cards. As I said, I whipped them out of a build before this one. So on this machine though, everything is starting to show its age in terms of performance. The CPU in this one, although it was fast for its time, it's Core i9 7920X, so that's got 12 core 24 thread CPU, and it does its job. But now, as I say, with the bigger data sets I'm doing, it is just starting to slog along, and it struggles a bit. In terms of storage on it, I've got Samsung 970 Evo 1TB was the original NVMe SSD that I put in it, and then I added this second 2TB 970 Evo Plus into the machine. So I use that one for doing the image processing on, and I use the original one as obviously the operating system. I don't need a lot of other storage in here. It's mainly just the hot files that I'm currently working on live on the machine, as I've got the NAS that I built or acquired a few years ago, or last year, or whenever it was. There's another video on my channel relating to that. That's a Synology NAS box, so that works great. So yeah, as I say, it's starting to struggle. I'm starting to see issues. As you can see, it has got some RGB in it, not that I really had it on, but it's now malfunctioned, so it just stays on in this configuration, and no matter which software I tried to use to turn it off or turn it to a static colour, which I like the green theme that went with all the coolant and everything, but that's all not working now, so it's all sort of in limbo. And the PSU in it, I can't remember the brand of it, it's 1000 watts, but when I fully max out the system and it's busy, I don't know whether there's a fault in the motherboard or a fault in terms of the overall bigger configuration, but it does occasionally just crap itself basically and shut itself down. So probably just a combination of many things over the years, and it, as I say, it's starting to get a bit tired, so I thought it is time for a new build. So what we'll do now is we'll take a look at what I've bought and what I'm going to be building. Alright, so here we are. So here's the pile of bits, and the first thing on the list I've got is the Intel i9-14900K CPU. So that'll be a bit of a beast hopefully. I know it's extremely hot running, so hence I've got a whole stack of fans and everything to go in, which we'll see in a second. So hopefully that'll do the business nicely. In terms of memory, I've gone for Corsair Dominator DDR5 6600 mega transfers per second memory. 128 gigabytes I've gone for. I could have probably got away with 64, but I wanted to do some experimenting with RAM disks to see if that can improve the image processing durations somewhat. So it certainly won't be running out of any memory. Unfortunately, the motherboard supports all that. For the motherboard itself, I've gone again with ROG Strix. This time the 790F Gaming Wi-Fi 2 motherboard, and it has support for 4 NVMe or M.2 NVMe SSDs, 3 of which are full-blown NVMe PCI 4 speeds, and the 4th one is SATA speed limit. So I won't be needing all of them anyway. I'm only going to be putting 2 NVMe SSDs in this unit. For the SSDs, so I went for the Kingston KC3000s. Both of these are 2 terabytes, maximum speed of 7 gigabytes per second. So as I say, they'll go in that machine no problem. For the power supply, I've gone for the 1200 watt ROG Thor Platinum 2 power supply. For the graphics card I've chosen, and the build I've gone for, there was a minimum recommended power supply of rating of 1000 watts, so I took it up to the next level just to allow a margin of error and to take a bit of stress off the unit. So that is a bit of a beast. For the CPU cooler, I've gone for the Kraken 360, and this will fit the 790 platform, or the 1700 socket I should say, no problem. So we'll see how we get on with this. It should give plenty of cooling to the CPU. And as I say, the whole unit does run hot, and the graphics card will run hot, so the case will get extremely toasty and will need some coolant. So I've gone for a bunch of fans, and I'll work out exactly what I can fit in the unit, although I think they will all fit in. So I've gone for Corsair fans. I've got a bunch of, or I've got 3 of these 140 millimeter maglev fans. Again, all RGB, so I can maybe do some colouring on there. And then I've got 6 LL120 Corsair RGB series again fans that I can build into the case. My thinking being that I can put the CPU block in the top of the case, and then all the other fans around the bottom for intake, and I'll 2 at the back for exhaust, and 3 on the right panel for exhaust as well. So hopefully we can get all them into the unit. To control all the fans and manage all the RGB, I've got the Corsair Commander XT, and that will connect also with the bridges that are inside these multi-packs, hopefully to manage all the cabling. So that is what I've got. Now you'll notice there's one thing missing, and that will be the GPU. It hasn't arrived yet. It should be coming in a couple of days, so we'll see that at the end of this part once it arrives. And then I'm going to build it all into this massive Lian O11 Dynamic Evo XL case. So as we can see just in the graphic in the front there, it has got glass front and side panels, and the motherboard and the trays and all that can actually be flipped, so you can have it built round the other way should you desire. But just in the standard configuration with the glass on the left hand side will be ideal, because it will be going in to replace my existing machine, and it will move over to where my old unit is, my test bed, and that will get retired. So on that note, just wait for the GPU to arrive, and then we can get on with the building. Alright, so it's been a few days, and while I've been waiting for the GPU to arrive, I have actually started the build, so quick sneak peek, and we'll see that in part 2. But for the GPU I have gone for the ROG Strix RTX4090, so a bit of a beast of a card, so I'm looking forward to see how this performs compared to my existing gear. Alright then, let's go building. We shall see you in part 2.